The hardest placements are ones that I was like, I'm just gonna do it. And I really should not have done that. That's crazy. That's crazy. Bye. Good job. Stand up. Ah. Fix your hair. All done. Good morning, you guys. So we're actually about to leave for school / work. Cole's going to school, I'm going to work. But you are now tuned into a weekly vlog. I want to start back weekly vlogging. Well, and not even start back, but I want to vlog weekly. That was something I wanted to do, and like Vlogmas kind of got me in that feel of like falling in love with vlogging again and wanting to like implement it weekly. I put my vitamins in my pocket because I didn't wake up early enough to take them. So I am actually going to be trying to figure out this foster care stuff today. I stayed up really late doing a bunch of trainings that I need to do. When I say a bunch, I mean like 4. Like that, I guess that is a bunch. Because one of them, we did a 7-hour training at work about suicide prevention and all of that, but it wouldn't count. So I had to do that training last night. That one was like an hour-long one, and the other ones are like repetitive trainings that you do every year, and they actually had just expired when she sent me that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll catch you up in a minute, but right now we got to get to work. But yeah, I'm going to be working on, I'll probably bring y'all with me to work because I'm going to be working on getting all that paperwork done that she needs. Yeah, so we'll catch up about this topic later, but got to get to work because we will be late. And my watch did not charge. That sounds about right. I started doing the weird little thing with the lines again. Hopefully this clip comes out okay. Anyways, I was talking to y'all and I realized like the lines are there. I am home. It is 10:30. It has been a long day. I wanted to come back to recap y'all on what I was talking about because I never got to finish our conversation earlier. So, as promised, I'm back to catch you up. Honestly, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's probably because I took that clip out because, again, the lines on the screen, I don't know what the lines were about. But anyways, so I'm sitting here and I'm doing some trainings. I actually had a training today right after work. It was short, psychotropic medication training. And I'm doing some other ones because I can't find them. And the other ones, I guess, has expired. So backstory is I got a phone call that my home was going to be closed, and then I got no further details. And so when I kept inquiring, she finally stated that they, I guess, have a new rule, and my house has been inactive for a year because I did not take any more placements, even though I said yes. Like I said yes to some, no to a lot. They never actually came to my home, so I haven't had a child in my home in a year. And I normally keep up with all my stuff. Like in the summer, I did my normal fire inspection, healthcare inspection, getting my fire extinguisher done. But this new person I have is not very good with communication. And there are a lot of new trainings that I was unaware of because she did not tell me. And so, like in the past, my worker, even if there were no kids actively in my home, she would keep me up on the trainings because you can get a kid at any time, right? And so she'd be like, hey, this training's about to expire. Or she'd send me a list of all the mandatory trainings if there was something added, and be like, here's what's new, here's where you're at, these are what's coming up. This person has not. And so I have been going back and forth all week. Like, I'll do a little bit and I'll stop and I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like, I feel like I am pretty much at a point where this chapter is closing. And I had already been thinking this. So the reason my home has been inactive for so long is because of the last placement I had was really tough. And in general, I have just been feeling this wave of my time has come to an end. I really feel like 2025 is going to be different. I really want to pour into myself this year and be a tad bit selfish, because with foster care comes all the trainings that I'm doing now, keeping your home up to code, doing all of the visits with parents, doing all of the court dates, doing all the doctor's appointments. And a lot of the kids have a lot of doctor's appointments because some haven't had shots or whatever it may be, or have like additional needs and concerns. And then the therapy sessions. And when I started foster care, I did it during COVID. And so everything was done in the home through me. So there was no break. So for the longest, I was just used to going, and never stopping for me. Visits were virtual. I had to sit with the kid with the camera because they were so small that they, didn't have anything to talk about. So I'm telling them, like, show mom this, and here's color while you talk to mom. And so that was my life. And then outside of that, like, if I want to go anywhere, if I want to do anything, if I leave the state, if I leave the city, like, I have to let them know. If I leave the state and I want to take that child, if it's not a bordering state, I have to get permission from the judge. And so we have a lot of trips planned, and I'm like, do I really want to do this to myself? Do I really want to put my life on hold? Because in essence, that's kind of what you're doing. Now, granted, I took my kids everywhere with me. Like, we did a cross-country road trip, and I took my little. She got to stop at all the signs and take her picture and make her scrapbook. Like, I take my kids everywhere with me. I don't like to leave them behind. The only time I left my little behind was because she had a scheduled weekend visit with mom, and we had a scheduled out-of-town thing. And I had already promised the other little that we were going. She was excited about going to the hotel. And so I left the one behind with a family member that was okayed through CPS. And then the family member did the drop off with mom. And I picked her up when I got back. But any other time, my littles go with me. And so that is now like putting my son's fun on hold, because if the judge says no, then I have to make arrangements. Or if the parents can even say no, like, I don't want you to take my child anywhere. Which has never happened, but they have the ability to be like, absolutely not, I don't want my child to go. And so if that's the case, then I can't go, and then my son can't go, or I have to find somebody who's willing to do respite when they already have probably kids in their home. And so it's just so much that people don't think about. People just think about, oh, well, you bring in an extra kid, that's gonna like hit your pockets. No, it hits your mental, it hits your physical. And so a part of me wants to say, forget it. And a part of me is like, how selfish is that? Like, you have been giving a very blessed life and you need to get back. And I have been. And I think it might be time for a new way to get back. So here is where my stress comes, because these are the things. You see this front and back is the email she sent me. A lot of it is done. A lot of it is in here. Some of it she has, and she's like, I have to check. And I'm like, so, give you a quick synopsis. I need measurements and my floor plan, which she said she might still have. Health status of all in the home, healthcare professional service page signed for everyone in the home. If you have health issues, then you have to take it to the doctor. They have to sign off on it. She needs a copy of my driver's license, which they had. These are the frustrating parts, because they had it.
And CPS can be so inconsiderate in so many ways. Like the random training today that I got that said you need to be on at 6 and you can't be in the car, you can't be doing this, you need to be sitting still. And I rushed and got to where I needed to be at 6 only for it to be a 10-minute training, which was the same thing I had just done online. It's neither here nor there. Okay, driver's license. My check stubs for the last 60 days, unless I'm still employed with these same people because they already have my pay stubs. My tax returns or my bank statements for the last 2 months, unless it's still the same as what they already have on file. So those are good. Most current car insurance, cool. Pet vaccination, I don't have a pet. Marriage certificate, not married. Divorce decree, not divorced. High school diploma. She says this may be a new required document, but I do need it. Man, where am I about to find my high school diploma? I have been out of high school since 2007. What? Inspections. Fire inspection, fire escape plan posted. It is. 5-pound fire extinguisher tagged. It is. Health inspection. Make sure my trash cans, like these 3 right here, are things that are already done because my home is still set up and ready to go. Medications locked, chemicals locked, trash cans with lids, trainings, reporting abuse and neglect training, which I do that through the school every year. They do not accept it, so I still have to do separate training, which I did last night. So I did most of these last night. Sexual abuse training, medical consent training, trauma-informed care training, psychotropic medication training, self-paced I did, and then I did the one instructor-led tonight. This AS plus K online is about suicide prevention. The thing is, I did a 7-hour training at work with this. And this one is saying it needs to be online and in person, but they've never asked for this before. And so I had to email her and be like, can the one from work, that one work? I literally sat in training for 7 hours. She has yet to respond, so I have to wait for that. And then runaway prevention, I just did. Trauma informed, so then it has the link. So I did those. I have to do normalcy training. I think that's the same one. I don't know how I'm going to do this in-person one if she doesn't let me do the same one. And the thing is, my deadline, if I have not said this, my deadline is the end of the month. And she told me on the 23rd. So I was really frustrated because not only did she tell me on the 23rd, but I was going out of town. And so things that were here at home that I needed to check, I was like trying to check on the road. Like I have my foster care binder here. Because I was like, do I still have a copy of our TB test? Like, which is another thing. So I need to fill out the frequent visitors log, like people that frequent my home, and they all have to have background checks. My CPR certification, which is good until March, and then TB test. So I need to see if my TB test is in here. I keep everything in here, and the fact that most of it is like I can't find it, so frustrating. So like here's my preventing sexual abuse one, but for some reason there's no date on it. And I'm like why? This suicide part 1, suicide part 2. I'm pretty sure that's that same one and they just changed the name. I'm still good on that, but she doesn't have a record of it, and neither do I. Here's my TB test, so I just need to scan mine. Problem is I gotta find my son, and I know he did one because once he got to a certain age I had to get him one. Where the copy is, that's another thing, but I did keep all of his paperwork. If you have a kid in foster care, you're supposed to keep all of their paperwork just as like a safety measure, but once I adopted him, I still kept everything. So I know I have it. I know I do. Ha! I found it. I found it. It's 2023. Okay, so this is good for 2 years. So I need to show her that. Oh, so that's probably why I don't remember this training, is because it's every 2 years. But I'm telling y'all, This is literally the same training. It's a new training that they've started having the teachers do, just because we've just been having, so many things going on in the schools. And so I'm like, I know if that training is in fact, if mine had expired, I literally just did that training. So that should count for something, because it's a training that so what's funny is it's a training that all of our new teachers that just graduated college, just got their certifications, just got their degrees, they all have it because it's now a requirement of their program. But none of us that have been there for a while had it. And so we sat through that 7-hour training and they got to dip because they had already done it. And so it's new for us, but I knew I had done it. But anyhow, okay, these are just extra copies of monthly reports. I think I'm going to take these to work tomorrow and do these during my lunch break because it's getting late and I'm tired. I just need to find my son's TB test, and then I have to fill this out for regular frequent visitors. And mind you, my mom has to do some of these trainings too because she is the backup caregiver. But besides that, I think I have everything except for the psychotrope. I wonder if this one is that one. I'm just going to send her everything I got. She's just going to get right out. That point blank period. If it's wrong, it's wrong. She's just going to get it. A sister girl, I don't know. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So by the end of this vlog, or maybe in the next one, y'all will know my decision, because like I said, every time I start to gather the papers and I think about it, I'm like, do I really want to do this again? But I had already said, I was like, one more year or, one more placement, and then I think I'm going to close my home. And close it, but not be done with foster care. I still want to be involved with the community, but I feel like it's just my time to go a different way. And so when she told me she was closing the home, I was like, well, Lord, you've spoken. Because like I said, I kept calling, I kept contacting. I was like, what do I need to do? This is kind of short notice. I wasn't aware. And she had never messaged me back. And then finally, at the end of January, she emails me back. And so I've been praying about it too. And I'm like, Lord, you can let me know at any time that this is not your will, and I will pump the brakes. And he is not. So here we are, filling out the paperwork once again. Other thing is, though, I can do all of this and still not get a kid. So who knows how it works out? Because like I said yes to a few placements. I said no to a few placements. I even said yes to a child who was up for adoption. And then after she sent me this long list of things I needed to do, she actually sent me paperwork on a baby. Yeah, a baby. But that baby was up for adoption. And I was like, I need to figure out what I'm doing with all this paperwork first before I say yes and do all of this and get going and then not even get paperwork done in time. So yeah, we're gonna talk tomorrow. Hey y'all, so it is about 4:45. I am finishing up. I have a mess here, absolute mess here. So I called the worker just to kind of get some last minute questions answered, and I think I have everything. I found my transcripts at work because they gave it all back to us last year in this envelope, and it was we're not housing this anymore. So I have my transcript. She said that'll work. Because anyways, I was filling out these pages. This is the last thing I'm doing, and then I'm going to download his shot record because I can't find a TB test for him, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be on his shot record. I think I have my TB test. So yeah, I'm going to go through my checklist and start marking off stuff that I know I have. I swear I had a pen. Okay, pen, check. Okay,
So driver's license, I did that. She said she doesn't need the pay stub or the tax return. I put my car insurance in my notes to send. Don't have any of these. I have my transcripts. So I normally scan everything into my notes and I have a record of it, which is why it's crazy that I cannot find any of my certificates, because everything, literally everything from when I had my first foster child is in this phone. Don't know. But anyways, neither here nor there.
Is this what you want now? Feels like you're looking for something better. Is this what you want now? Or is it because you can't forget her?
I submitted everything. We shall see. Hey guys, so it has been some days. It's currently Sunday. I just got home from church. I'm about to film a video for my second channel and then wrap up a video that I actually had started doing for this channel, and I just hadn't got around to finishing it. But so everything is turned in. She emailed me back and said that she found a couple of things that I was having trouble finding, like Cole's TB test, because everybody, of course, in your family has to have a TB test over the age of 2, I believe. And so I knew I did it because I was still fostering when he was 2. Like, we had a kid in the home. So anyways, that is all done. And I'm still literally on the fence. Like, I have not completely decided if I want to bring another kid in my home. And like, my heart is decided, but my head is not. And the reason being is because, like I said, I want to be a little bit selfish this year. But if I'm selfish this year and I have an amazing year, I know my heart is still going to feel very, very much empty. And I'm going to want to go back to it. And I'm going to have to start the process all over again. So in my being on the fence, I decided submit the paperwork. My home is open. If I decide after that I just am not ready and I don't want to do it and I want to officially close, then I'm going to close my home. I started this year off and this vlog off with the mindset that it's time to close my home. Like, it is time. And I think because so much was going on in my life, I felt like I needed to close my home because I didn't have the energy to give. And the funny thing is that is where I get my energy. Like, my son drains the life out of me, but he brings me so much joy, and just he brings me so much joy, and I just enjoy being a mother. Like, if you were to ask me, even as a little girl, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said a mom and a lawyer. Every time I took my dogs everywhere, I have always wanted to be a mom. So anyways, like I said, I've been on the fence, and I decided just to submit the paperwork. I've even up until today have decided to pull back at church from doing so many things that literally drain me. So all that's left is work, and I can cut back from work, and home. And home is what brings me joy. Taking care of my home, taking care of my son, YouTube. And so I feel like when those things are removed, I will feel like I am able to bring in another child. Like I said, I'm still on the fence. But I do think it's time to close this chapter. I've talked to my worker before, and I don't know. We'll wait till she gives me the go ahead. Like, everything was turned in. We're good to go. We're open. But I had the conversation with my last worker, and since switching workers, it's been a lot of like not good communication happening. And so I need to just sit her down and be like, this is where I'm at. I originally said that I was going to foster for 1 more year. And I believe I stated this before, but there was actually a little girl who needed to be adopted. I think she was like a toddler age. She wasn't a baby. She had needs that not everybody could meet. And so I said yes, and it fell through. And I think that's when I started thinking like, okay, it's time for me to close, right? Because staying open and saying yes to a foster placement can leave me open for years to come, because sometimes it's a year
for their case. Sometimes it's 2 years if they ask for an extension, 3 years. It really just depends. And as I was going back and forth, I kind of came to the decision that I would foster one more time, or I would leave my home open for a year to adopt. And I think that's really where I'm leaning. Like, I'm going to leave my home open to adopt and be done. And I'm not like trying to get a kid that like is in care and take them from their parents. Absolutely not. I am open to adopt the children who literally are in care, waiting to be adopted, or like come up for adoption. So really weird how foster care works, because people just think of CPS coming to take the kid from the parent, and that's the only kind of cases that happen. And that's not the case. There are some kids who get left at the hospital and parents are like, I can't do it, you know, and instead of doing private adoption, which you got to find somebody, they just give them over to CPS. Or there's some cases where there's kids in care and there's no one available to take them, and they spend so much time in the foster care system that they're just waiting to be adopted. So I think that's what I feel more okay with. But even that, I'm so on the fence, because I'm like, can I do 2 kids alone? I have an amazing village, but can I do 2 kids alone? I want to do it, but can I? And is it going to be good for us? So those are all the things in my mind that I'm battling. But I really had told myself this is going to be a very me year, a very selfish year of focusing on me and mine, which means me and my son. But my heart just can't do it. So I don't know. I don't know where we're at with this. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm just going to say I'm open. I absolutely pray about every case that comes across my phone. I don't just blindly say yes because just because there is an availability in my home doesn't mean we're going to mesh, you know? So I've always prayed over every placement. And one of the hardest placements are ones that I was like, I'm just going to do it. And I really should not have done that. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And I don't know. I feel as though my heart is torn. And logically, my head is like, girl, just enjoy life. Enjoy Cole. The other thing was I watched him, right? I watched him play. And he's so alone. Like, I'm his best friend. And I think he really needs a sibling. Somebody else said that. They were like, he needs somebody. And so I'm like, okay. And Cole loves babies. Cole loves kids younger than him. So I don't know. I don't know where the wind is going to take us. But all I do know is that the chapter is closing. Whether it's now or whether it's a year from now. This chapter, it's closing. And it's so bittersweet. It is so bittersweet. Because this has been my way of giving back for the last 4 years. And I've seen so many great things happen. I've seen families come back together. I've seen littles adopted into great families. And so to end this part is so hard for me. But I know that this is not the only way I can be involved. And I also can leave my home open for respite, which means I can leave it open, and if people need like a break or they need to go out of town and their little can't go, you know, I'm available. So that's the other reason why I'm leaving my home open, but just for a year. I'm dedicating a year. And then, I don't know. Hey guys, so I am back. It is about 6:15 on a Tuesday, and I am childless, and this is like the perfect ending for this video because tonight was a foster adoptive parents night out. My son has never gone to a parents night out. He is almost 4. He will be 4 next month, and he has never gone to a parents night out, y'all. And so it's just so crazy, like so crazy that I've never taken him to that. And this time I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to take him. I stopped and got my favorite tea from HTO. I'm actually in the Starbucks parking lot, and that's just because it's really close to the nursery where he's at. But how crazy is that they have that tonight, and I wanted to wrap this video up. So today is March 18th, y'all. It has been a month and a half
since I turned in all my paperwork, since I've done everything. And I waited and I waited. February was crazy, so I really didn't like push the subject. But when March hit, I was like, my worker hasn't hit me back. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, I know I turned in everything. Is there anything else I need to do? And she was like, oh, let me check. And I was like, so this whole time between finding out that my home was closing and like redoing everything has been like an emotional roller coaster, because parts of me are like, just be done. Just be done. You've done this. I've done this literally since the pandemic, since July of 2020. So in July of 2025, it will have been 5 years that my home has been licensed and had children in it. She let me know that I still needed to do a new fingerprint. Why? I don't know. I don't know how often you need to update your fingerprint, but this is the first time I've ever been told that I needed a new fingerprint done. So I went and got the fingerprint done. If you're curious, it runs about $40. Mine was $37.27. And I have not heard from her since, y'all. And I actually got a request to do respite, and I don't even know if I can do respite. And so I said all that to say, I really feel like the Lord is just allowing this chapter to close. I would have wasted $40, but it is what it is. But I really just, it's so hard to say. It's so hard to say, but I think we're closing the chapter on fostering. And the funny thing is I knew I wanted to adopt again, and then I was going to close my home anyway. So I don't know why I'm feeling so emotional about like closing my home, but it's been so hard to pull the plug. And that's really where I feel like we're at. Like, I'm not having constant communication with my worker. I feel like every time I talk to her, there's something else I need to do. And I'm kind of just at the point where I feel like the Lord is allowing this to close so that I can move into the next chapter of my life. So with that being said, I honestly feel like this will probably be the last foster care update video, because I am not making any more efforts to keep my home open. That's crazy. That's crazy.